Well, hello and welcome to another video. And in the interest of trying to keep it real, I am keeping it real. So I'm sitting up here in what is, I suppose I might call it the cycling loft. I'm toying with the idea actually of putting my turbo trainer setup or Zwift setup up here. But I don't know whether it'd be ideal or it'd be terrible, but I've got options to play with and I haven't got a rush. So, yeah, keeping it real. I'm sitting here on the sofa, which I got up the loft last night. Was no easy task getting it up on my own, I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's I've got my robe on, got a cup of tea in hand, done a full day at work, and I thought that it's interesting how things go. And the title of this video I've already decided on is I have trolls already. And I mean, I'm not in any way a YouTuber. I don't have a professional page. I don't have a business plan. I don't have sponsors. I don't have anything. I'm just a bloke who's 50 years old in a couple of months, who's got time on his hands, who has ridden a bike, various types of bike, for 25 years. I'd like to think I'm in okay shape, certainly for my age. I've never really done any dedicated training. I've just gone out and ride. The more I ride, the fitter I get. I've done a couple of cycling holidays on my own to Tenerife. So I've got some experience, and having ridden for 25 years, I've seen road cycling and cycling in general change a lot. And I guess this is a continuation of the videos that I've done recently about whether or not modern bikes are all they're cracked up to be, and do you really need all this stuff? And I've had some comments on my videos, and already I've got trolls. I've got somebody who said, if I don't like modern bikes, why don't I ride a penny farthing? I've got someone telling me that my handlebars are too high and my brakes aren't set up correctly. I've got people telling me that, I'm not qualified to give an opinion on any bikes because I haven't ridden every bike in the world tour. And you've got to ask yourself, a bit more light here, you've got to ask yourself, who has ridden every bike in the world tour, right? Certainly no pro. And even if you were a tester for Cycling Weekly, I find it highly unlikely that you'd get every bike in the world tour to ride in one season, right? So I don't have to have ridden every bike in the world tour to give my opinion on whether or not I think my bike is more practical than those in the world tour. And I think what my trolls don't understand is I'm not saying that my bike is better than Pogacar's 1YRS or Evenepoel's S-Works, or Vingegaard's Cervelo. In an objective scientific test, their bikes would probably be better than mine. They would roll faster, they're more aerodynamic, they're probably lighter at the very top end. But the point I was trying to make wasn't that my bike was somehow some super machine. It was that for real, well, I wouldn't say real, for ordinary people like us, right, who buy our own equipment, who get what we can afford for whatever circumstances we're in, and then between whatever other commitments we've got, and I work full time like I guess most other people do, you go out and ride a bike, right? And if you're going to do that on your own time, with your own money, for your own purposes, if you can afford a 1YRS or a Colnago Steel Novo or whatever it is, fine. I've got no problem with anyone riding anything. But what my point is, the point I'm trying to make, is that if you get something which is more and more complicated, right, which modern bikes are, same as modern cars, right? But if you've got a proprietary frame with a proprietary seat post, right, and you've got a fixed integrated bar and stem with fully integrated cables, and you've got no choice but to ride Di2, right, or SRAM or Campagnolo, but it's all electronic shifting, right? So when you add those things together, each one adds up a little bit more on the complexity scale, right, and the cost. And when it's all working well, great, right? I mean, I had Shimano Ultegra 12-speed rim brake version on my Lightspeed, Di2. And when it was working well, which I must admit was the majority of the time, I thought, fantastic. And I actually did a video a couple of years ago, which is still on the channel, singing the praises of it and saying that I would have it on every bike if I could afford it. Now, of course, that was before I had the problems with it, and if you're a paid influencer or a paid shill, or you work for the company or whatever, no matter what happens, you're going to sing its praises because you're paid to do it, right? Or your income is dependent on saying what they want to hear. Mine isn't. So when it was working well, I thought, this is fantastic. I want this on everything. But then when I saw the pitfalls of it, especially when I was, in Tenerife, stuck in 36, 34, and had to ride from Los Gigantes back to near Las Americas in that gear, well, then I started to think a bit differently about it, And then when it happened again, some months later, back in England, and I couldn't change gear, having just gone out of the house, well, then my opinions changed somewhat, right? But the trolls that I've already got leaving negative comments on videos that I've been seeing, 1,000, 2,000, sometimes 3,000 times. If you think about the amount of people who watch YouTube, right, and the amount of channels there are about cycling, and I am like this tinsy wincy little guy who, is probably going to come to nothing. The fact that people feel the need to come in with negative comments, saying, I'm riding the wrong bar height, I'm riding the wrong stem height, I don't know what I'm talking about, why don't I ride a penny farthing, I have to have ridden every bike in the World Tour before I give my opinion. You've got to ask yourself what kind of people these people are. I mean, are they so negative about their own life that anyone who expresses an opinion or makes any sort of effort to do something out of the ordinary has got to be talked down straight away, right? And this must happen to all sorts of other YouTubers. And I've got to admit that I very rarely leave comments on YouTube videos, and I almost never read comments on YouTube videos of other people's. And the only reason I've read mine is because I haven't got that many comments and it's something really new for me, right? But to have negative comments come in telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm giving my own opinion, right? I'm not talking about scientific fact. I'm giving my opinion about how bikes don't need to be unnecessarily complicated. And if they take away the choice from the consumer to give you a simpler bike, then we're all the poorer for it, But for people to say that I don't know how to ride a bike, because I say, well, I think that this bike is simpler, more reliable, and just as good overall as a bike which is, carbon everything, integrated everything, Di2 everything. I mean, do these people even ride? Do they have an opinion? Have they ever expressed it anywhere? Have they made even the tinsiest bit of effort to think about anything other than just being negative? I mean, I'm not thin-skinned, but I would have thought that having so few views on my videos and having only a handful of comments, that the odds of me getting negative comments at this point would be pretty low, But there's people out there, evidently, who really don't have anything better to do with their time and don't have a life. But you know what? The more of you who comment, probably the more views I'll get because it pushes the algorithm up, right? So I'm I'm asking for an army of trolls to come in and naysay every video that I ever post, because the more you comment, the better it is for me. All right. And with that, I'm going to go back to my tea and wish you all a good evening.